Hey guys, and welcome to Will Squared. I'm Will Senior,
And I'm Will Jr.
and we're here going to be talking about the NFL. And I'm wearing this hat. I wish I would have actually gotten a little paper bag cover my face because Miami let me down big time this past weekend.
Well,
Huntley
like, did
played.
they? The Broncos won. So did they?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I wanted to at least
At least
get
win.
over 500. I mean, something. But
Hmm.
to lose, and then on top of that, to lose to the Jets. Well, we'll talk more about that later on. But yeah, we'll be talking about the NFL, just Will and I, and then we're going to be joined by Gabe and
Davis.
Davis. That then we'll be talking about college football. So let's get started because there's a lot of things to do, and even though I do want to cover my face, it's bothering me. So anyway, hello world, from Miami Dolphin fan. Let's talk really quick. The biggest game last week, and I think we talked about this, was Vikings and Lions. This was a game that would decide the number one seed in the NFC, and we kind of talked about who really needed that number one seed. But this game, was pretty close through halftime, and then all of a sudden, Jameer Gibbs just took over the game and did what we kind of all expected him to do the whole year, which was,
Score.
have a great game and
Yeah, like
score. He
20
scored
touchdowns.
what, 4 TDs
Four
last Sunday?
TDs on Sunday, like 20 for the season, I think.
That's
Around.
incredible. Yeah, so I'll let you talk. What did you think about that game? Is that
Well,
a preview of how the Lions are going to be performing in this in the playoffs?
yes, to that first question. But before this game, we viewed it as possibly the biggest a game ever in the regular season because they were both a 14-2. We've never seen two 14-win teams actually go off in the regular season because 14 wins to a 16-week season. It's rare.
Right.
This game was a Aaron Glenn masterclass. Aaron Glenn is the defensive coordinator of the Lions.
Yes.
Who in their right mind challenges Justin Jefferson to play one-on-one all freaking day? Who challenges to play Jordan Addison one-on-one all freaking day? Who blitzes Sam Darnold almost every single play? It was just a masterclass. He was aggressive all night, different coverages. There's a lot of man-to-man that I thought was like zone at first. There's a lot of zone covers. I was convinced it was man. Some like blitzes. I'm like, okay, now might be a good time for a blitz, and it didn't go. It was just a masterclass, and it just confused Sam Darnold. He did not have a bad game. Or sorry,
a good game.
A good game. Thank you.
Yeah.
The entire they were good. They just couldn't score in the red zone. They went 0 for 4 in the red zone. So 0 points out of 4 tries. They went for it all 4 times, trying to be like Dan Campbell. But it's not a bad sign for the Vikings. It's just a bad game. Sam Darnold, again, the reads were all there. Like he did have receivers open for a lot of plays. He just missed it. There were a few times where he looked away a little too fast or bad ball to a person that's never been a bad ball the whole year. But back to your question, this is how the Lions will have to win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl. They have to play aggressive defense. They have to play aggressive. And it makes sense because your offense is so good. You know that Jared Goff and that offense is going to score like 30 on the rest of the playoff teams, apart from probably Philly. But your defense needs to try to like steal a possession, picks or a fumble, or get off the field on third downs. And to do that, you need to be very aggressive. And that's how they're going to win. They have the firepower to do it. I still believe they have the firepower to do it. Can they do it? Yes. But we'll get to that soon with the playoff matchups. But they are now the 1 seed. Thank goodness. They have a week off. Their bye week was in the 5th game of the season, bro. Like week 5.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. So it's been a 13 week since they had a couple of days off. And for the Vikings, terrible for them. They have to play possibly 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl if they get it that far.
Well, they have to. It's not possibly.
Oh no, they could host the 6th seed or 7th seed in the championship. That's what I mean by that. But most likely, they'll go on the road 3 times, and it's gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and the other thing is we've never seen a 14 wing team.
Yeah, a wild card team. I mean,
being wild card. Yeah.
14-3. You're one of the
Yeah.
best seasons in your franchise's history, and you're a fifth seed.
And you're a fifth seed.
And you're a fifth seed.
I do want to talk a little bit about Sam Darnold because this past week he was actually being considered in the MVP run. Okay. Now let's looking at his stats. I would say that his stats were a little less than Lamar Jackson's and a lot more than Josh Allen. But I think with this game and how this game materialized, I think he's out of the list now. He's out
There
of
was
the
no
running.
shot. There was no shot. The last couple of weeks has just been a 50-50 between Josh Allen and Lamar.
Yeah.
The only
But
way that,
still, it's a good story that Sam
of course,
Darnold came up. And we did kind of talk about what we should do with Sam Darnold going into next year, right? I
it
think
all
we're still
depends.
got to wait to see what happens in the playoffs.
Exactly.
I don't think that he's going to get a lot of years, a contract with a lot of years. Maybe a 2-3 year contract would probably be best suited for them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, no, I think that was the game of the week. Not necessarily because of the game itself, but because of
Yeah.
what was at stake, which was the number one seed in the NFC. The other game, again, we can go back and kind of talk a little bit about Miami. We blew it. Yes, the Broncos totally dismantled the Chiefs, which I do want to talk about that game in a couple of minutes. And we didn't have, obviously we didn't have the opportunity to make it into the playoffs, even if we would have won. But just kind of seeing how they gave up. Tyreek Hill decided that he didn't want to go back into the game. And then after the game, he kind of said that that was it for him in Miami, and he had to think about his own career going forward. Again, that's I'm going to chalk that up to being emotionally drained, to losing a game that we should have won. I mean, I'm also thinking about Messi back in Copa America when he lost it, and he kind of said he was retiring from the national team, and we all know he came back. He won two Copa Americas, the World Cup and the Finalissimo. So, what does this mean, though? Does it mean that Tyreek Hill is actually going to be asking for a trade?
Probably.
The GM stated that in his conversations with Tyreek, he didn't request a trade. It seems we'll see what happens. But his numbers have gone down since the first year he started in Miami, right? This past year, we noticed that a lot of the defenses that were playing in Miami were playing really high, right? Not allowing anything to go beyond them. So that kind of ate into Tyreek's numbers. But at the same time, I don't think he was the same receiver either. He made a lot of drops, a lot of drop balls. So he's not the same receiver. Could be that something else is going on. He does have a tendon in his wrist that needs off-season surgery. So who knows what's going to happen? All in all, Miami's season was not what we expected it, and it starts with Tua, right? So Tua goes down, concussed, because he wanted to get a first down instead of just kind of sliding, and live to play another play. He goes down. We go 2-4 during the time he's down. That just puts us in a hole, and it was very hard. It was a good story to try to get back into the playoffs, and the second half of the season was interesting because we did have the opportunity to make it into the playoffs. We fell short.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about Miami before we
just
move
real
on?
quick. Just real quick. We both knew that the Broncos and Chiefs game was more important than this one because this one did not really count
Yeah.
until the Chiefs. Yeah. I sat here on this couch and just watched the full Jets and Dolphins games for one reason, because it was possibly the last game of two of my favorite players ever
Yeah.
since I
Yep.
started watching 15 years ago, 10 years,
Yep.
10 to 15 years. Aaron Rodgers and Calais Campbell.
Yep.
I was doing my best. The game was so bad. I'm sorry.
It was
The game
horrible.
bad, but I did my best to watch it because I told myself this is probably the last time you're going to watch Aaron Rodgers play and Calais Campbell play. Calais Campbell got drafted in 2006 to the Cardinals. Great first tenure there. Then he went to the Jags, created Saxonville over there. He went to the Ravens. He was perfect for us for, I think, 2 seasons. Then he went to the Dolphins. He's a future Hall of Famer, a great person, great player. If this was his last game, then he went out with a bang. And Aaron Rodgers, pretty much the same thing. Probably the most talented quarterback apart from Pat Mahomes, probably. He has 4 MVPs. I got a best friend who's a Packers fan that I've known since I was 2000 or since I was 5. So I've kind of been like a Packers supporter my entire life. That means Aaron Rodgers. Sure. So yeah, if this was his last game, it hurts because of the whole season that he's had.
Yeah, and Calais Campbell, talking to the GM, said that he would be considering coming back for another season, so that would be good. Mm-hmm. And then Miami's defense just allowed A-Rod to look prime A-Rod, with the exception of one of the first. I think he threw the interception, and the first pass was an interception, and then from there he just went off. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch the whole game. I was like, hell no. I watched it to the third quarter, and I was like, you know what? This is just a mess. And so I changed the channel. I don't remember what I was watching at that point, but yeah, it was very disappointing. All right, let's move on because I don't want to continue thinking about this. Let's talk about the Bucs and the Saints, which also was an important game because of seeding. So why don't you go ahead and walk us through that game?
Saints played well the entire first half. I was keeping up with the scores. I'm like, are Tampa actually about to lose this game? But they picked it up in the second half, scored late in the fourth quarter. Mike Evans got 1,000 yards.
Yes, he did.
He's now tied Jerry Rice for most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
Yes. Yep.
Which you could argue is more impressive for Mike Evans because he's only played 11 years. And I don't know when like Jerry's streak was, but I highly doubt it was from his rookie year to 11th year, like Mike Evans did. But congrats to the Bucs. I was convinced 2 months ago when the Ravens destroyed the Bucs that their season was over because of Chris Godwin and Mike Evans being out.
Yeah.
Mike Evans came back. Baker's playing also at a top level. And
we gotta give it up to him. I mean, he changed scenery, and now he's playing well. Yeah, it's incredible.
Passes. I mean, he's had a great.
Yeah, who would have expected that?
I know 40 TDs for Baker.
That's crazy. All right, let's move on to the Broncos and Chiefs.
Screw you, Chiefs. Screw you, Chiefs, because you just created the worst possible playoff as a Ravens fan, which we'll get to later on.
Well, so here's the take. Chiefs purposely lost this game because they didn't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs. They know that the Bengals can beat them.
But the Broncos could also beat them. They lost by a blocked field goal in October.
Exactly, but
the Broncos are a good team.
Yeah, but I'm thinking the Chiefs. I mean, they sat everybody down pretty much. Yeah. They didn't care about this game at all. So basically, their starters had 2 weeks off, right? They had this past week and next week. They should start considering, and they, as in the NFL, should start considering playing the last game, especially if it has to do with seeding and stuff. They should be played at the same time, sort of like the Premier League at the last game of the season. They all get played at the same time, so no one can take advantage of another score line or stuff like that. So that would be my take. I was disappointed. Of course, Miami. I'm disappointed that Miami didn't make it. Even if Miami would have won with this game, the way it was played, it was ridiculous. What is your take on it?
Well, the Dolphin game was at the same time, but you mean the Bengals game? I get what you mean. Yes, that like normally does happen. So that's why I was a bit confused when they announced that the Ravens game and the Steelers game was both on a Saturday compared to that Sunday.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I mean, fair enough. That was really it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk the last game we want to talk about this past week, and then we'll jump into playoffs. Steelers and Bengals. Steelers are backing up their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, okay.
That was their what, fourth straight loss.
Yeah, fourth straight
After a
loss
very promising first
start.
half of the season, where they were just flying by, all of a sudden they're in a losing streak, and I want to, yeah. So they're in a losing streak, and the Bengals came out, they won, they did what they had to do. Now they needed help, right? They needed help from the Broncos losing and Miami loss. So, what did you think of the game itself, though?
I was going for the Steelers so freaking badly. I was willing to risk Bengals getting out this damn playoff just so Baltimore doesn't face the Steelers, which we'll get to in a few minutes. I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna rant a lot. So yeah, I was going for Steelers. But again, screw you, Bengals. You just wasted one of the greatest seasons ever by a quarterback, a receiver, and a pass rusher. How do you have a player that has 5K yards with over 40 touchdowns, a receiver who won the triple crown, and a pass rusher who had 18 sacks, and you don't make the playoffs?
But I think isn't this already expected of the Bengals? Their
Because
first
they start off bad. I've been trying to
all
say
the time.
this.
The last few years they've
They just like
started really
started.
bad,
Yes.
and they've had to hustle to try to get into the playoffs. And if they would have started 500,
They just beat the Patriots. You would have been the
that's it.
Patriots in the first week of the season. Patriots would
That
have the
was it.
number one pick, and the Bengals will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how it was. All right, so it was a really good
Uh,
weekend of football.
yes.
It
Yes.
was the last week of the season for football. We got treated to a very important game Sunday night. Hey, how many times do schedules get this right? Hardly ever. And Sunday night was a very important game. All right, let's jump into the playoffs, right? We're gonna start off with your boys.
Really?
Steelers
Oh God.
at the Ravens. Yes, let's start with that. Um, Again,
Um,
Steelers are coming in with 4 losses. They got dismantled by the Ravens in Baltimore, which again they're coming back into Baltimore. I'm going to let you have the take, and then I'll give you my prediction at the end of your take. Go ahead.
this could be the worst or the best possible thing that could happen to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. When you're thinking of a Super Bowl, you want to beat the best. What better way to start off your road to Super Bowl than to face a rival who you are like struggling against? Okay,
Yep.
that's number one. Number two, why? Why do we have to face the Steelers? I'd rather face anyone else in the first. I'd rather face the Chiefs in the first round than the Steelers in the first round. It doesn't matter how bad the Ravens are or the Steelers. The Ravens could be 15-1 and the Steelers are 1-15. It doesn't matter. Both
Yeah.
teams are going to fight hard, and it's going to be a great physical game. And in the playoffs, like you never know what's going to happen. It's a playoff. It's a one game off, right? The only thing I could tell Jackson, please just be yourself. Don't do any of this cute crap that you've been trying to do the past couple weeks. I went back and watched some games. The Chiefs game, the Bills game from the COVID
Yeah.
year, the Titans game in 2019. He's just trying to do too much. He doesn't have to be Superman. You have a stacked team. You have a talented team. All you got to do is be yourself. Henry is going to help out a lot with this. If Henry can get going, it should be a kill, a blowout. But this is Pittsburgh. Again, it doesn't matter how bad they are or how bad Ravens are or how great
Well,
a team is. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. And I'm very intrigued to see what Pittsburgh are going to be doing on their offense because the last 4 games, they've lost all of them, but their offense has been just so bad with or without Pickens. So if Pickens is healthy, which I'm pretty sure he is, the Ravens are going to put like 2 people on him. So what the hell are you going to do after that? So
yeah.
that's a
So
big part for
this
their
is
offense. Yeah. But
so this is a divisional game, right? Obviously, I mean, before the playoffs is win or go home. It could be a slugfest,
Yes, or it could just
but
be blowout.
but I my gut says that Ravens are going to blow them out. I'm going to say my prediction would be 30-10 or 17 max. That would be my prediction. I don't think the game is going to be on the balance at all. I think Baltimore comes out swinging, takes it first quarter 14-0 and then coasts the rest of the
Um,
game.
I'm scared. I'm seeing all these freaking analysis being like the Ravens are going to destroy them of their 10-point favorites on bet sites. I'm a
Yeah, that could be
little
a bad
nervous.
omen too.
I'm a little nervous. It's hard for me to think of a way that the Ravens would choke this game this badly. I mean, this team is really good. Now you have Derrick Henry who could help
Yeah.
out Lamar. Lamar also helps out Derrick Henry. They help out each other. It's hard for me to see them losing to this kind of Pittsburgh team. But I do have the Ravens still. Not a blowout. I don't think it's a big blowout. It'll probably be like a 21-14 game. Honestly, it's gonna be a close, in my opinion. If it's a blowout, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, we'll see. It's on Saturday,
Saturday at
so
8. Yeah.
8 o'clock, and then the 3:30 game, I believe, is the Chargers and the Texans at Houston.
Yep.
So, what is your take on this one?
I can't believe that the Chargers have a bye week. Honestly, like it's crazy. Now, Texans suck. Okay,
Texans have.
game,
Yeah, go ahead.
this game is gonna be determined by whose defensive line wins. The Houston defensive line has to stop the running game of the Chargers that they'll try to do and then contain Justin Herbert. The Chargers defensive line needs to stop Stroud, and that's really it. Like if Stroud can get hot, then it might be hard to stop him. So whoever's like D line, both the D lines are top 5 probably, top 6 in sacks. So they're both two great defensive lines. I truly think whoever's defensive line plays better is going to win this game. I have the Chargers. I'll say Chargers 30 to Texans 23.
Yeah, I mean, I look. Harbaugh comes in first season playoffs.
Playoffs.
He does bring that different type of game that the NFL has kind of been going away from, which is a lot of smash mouth. I really think, I'm going to agree with you. I think Chargers win this game. The away team is going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be in the 30s. It might be more like 24-17, 24-20. That would be my score line. But yeah, I do have the Chargers going in. All right. So the last game in the AFC for the playoffs this week is Broncos at the Bills. And again, the 3 teams, Broncos, Miami, and the Bengals, were all fighting to go see the Bills, which are the number 2 seed, which also lost to New England, which kind of took New England out of the top 5 picks. I think
they went to 3.
Oh yeah. They took him out. They took him out of. Oh, they're in 3 now.
Four.
Yeah, I thought they dropped a little more than that.
4,
but okay.
4.
So Broncos coming out of 38-0 win over the Chiefs against Bills. What do you see in this game?
The Broncos could not have had a better first matchup. If you ask Broncos, Chiefs, Bills, or Ravens, who would you rather face first, they probably all say Bills. Here's why.
Okay.
That defense. The Broncos have the most sacks in the league by about 10. Second place is actually the Ravens. And they have Pat Surtain playing corner, who is probably defensive player of the year. Like he's been so great all year. Our Bama boy, he's been having a great year. And the Bills don't have a true number 1 receiver, which this whole year we've been talking about. So the Broncos defense can do whatever the hell they want as a game plan. If they want to blitz, they can blitz because they can cover. You want to play zone and rush 4, they can do that because they have a great D line and great corners. So yeah, the main question about all this: can Bo Nix not cause
mess up?
turnovers. Yeah, just don't
Yeah.
mess up. I think if the Broncos score 23, they're probably about to win. Okay, but the biggest question mark for the Bills, for the Broncos defense, will Pat Surtain play in the slot on third down against Shakir? Shakir is the Bills' best wide receiver, and on key downs like third and fourth, he plays more in the slot. So I'm gonna wonder if Pat is gonna like chase him still in the slot because obviously he's the best receiver, or if he's gonna play like more just again Amari Cooper more on the outside. I have the Bills still on. Honestly, I think Josh Allen will just do a little more. I think the Bills defense will cause problems to Bo Nix. I'm gonna say Bills 24, Broncos 13.
So as much as I would love to see the Bills knocked out, I don't think it's going to happen this week. I agree with you. It's going to be the Bills winning. They're going to find a way to win, whether it's going to be a blowout or not. I think it is. I think it's like I think you're right. I think it's going to be 10 plus points.
Yeah, 10 points is fair.
I don't think the Broncos have what they need, although I do like their defense, like you said. You know, they do have a really good defense, and it matches well with the Bills. So I'll go with the Bills, but wouldn't be upset one bit if the Bills lost.
Me either.
Yeah.
Because if the Ravens win and the Bills win, then they face off each other. It could be the game of the century. But I wouldn't mind if the Broncos beat the Bills early, bro. I wouldn't mind it.
All right, let's jump over to the NFC. The NFC is pretty cool too. I do see a couple of upsets coming up, and we can talk about those. Let's start off first with actually I see one upset.
There you go.
Let's start off with the Packers at Philly and the Eagles. What do you think about that?
This is my game of the weekend.
Okay.
A rematch of the first game in Brazil in week 1, where it was just a back and forth great game. I think it's going to be the same thing. Will Jalen Hurts play? As of right now, he has not even cleared concussion protocol yet, so he hasn't even practiced. I don't know if Philly are that good enough where they can beat the Packers without Jalen Hurts. They are a great team. The Packers are a great team. They're not a terrible 7 seed. I mean, they're 11-6, could have been 12-5, and still been a 7 seed. So they're not a bad team at all. Philly obviously have the better defense, so that's why I'm gonna pick Philly if Hurts plays. If Hurts does not play, I don't know what to think because the Packers are gonna still try to run the ball with Josh Jacobs, Philly with Saquon. Like Jordan Love just can't have a bad game like last year against San Fran. He played great against the Cowboys. Against San Fran, had a great first 3 quarters and then a bad fourth quarter. Jordan Love just safe, played safe. And Matt LaFleur needs to have a great game plan against this Philly defense, the best defense in the whole league. But I got Philly if Hurts plays. It's going to be a great game. I'll probably go with like a 27-24 game. It's going to be a great game.
All right, this is my upset of the week.
Let's go, brother.
I'm taking the Packers on this one. Packers are playing well. I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles. Let's just say Jalen Hurts does play because you said that he hasn't cleared and he hasn't
yet
practiced. But I saw a report today that he was practicing today.
Must have been this morning.
And that they were pretty pleasantly happy with how he was practicing. We can verify that, but even if he plays, I'm still going to take the Packers. I think they're going to come in here and come into Philly and take the game. The score I think is going to be really tight. I think it's going to be like 20-19, 24-23. I think it's a 1-score game and less than a field goal. That's my prediction for this game. That's my upset of the week. Because no one is expecting the Eagles to lose this game. But I'm going to take the Packers. Let's jump over to a team that's quickly becoming one of my favorite teams, the Washington football team. Gotta love them because they're local. they've really turned this franchise around ever since who left town
And Shane Schneider.
and sold it. But they're playing the Bucks, which again we just talked about the Bucks and how good they're playing coming into this playoffs. What do you see here? And
This
again,
is
this is I'm sorry, Commanders
and
at
Buck.
Tampa.
Yeah. This is also a rematch from week 1. And this is the most unpredictable game, in my opinion,
Yeah,
because it's Jaden Daniels. He is a rookie. We have never seen Jaden Daniels play in the playoffs. And this Commander team, it's a great team, but their defense is not top tier yet. So I can't call them a top tier team yet. So this whole game just really depends on uh, Jane Daniels playing clean, just playing like himself. Same with Lamar Jackson and Jane Daniels. Play like
yeah,
yourself. You don't need to be Superman to win playoff games. Play like yourself. Your team are gonna all support you, and you just play your game. Please don't try to be too cute. It's not gonna work. Don't try to be too cute. Can the defense hold a Baker? That's really it. Dan Quinn is obviously a defensive coach, so I would hope that he would have a good game plan. And let's swap it. Jane Daniels against a Super Bowl winning coach, Todd Bowles, a defensive coach. And we could have Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore again, which you may not know. Lattimore used to play for Saints. Obviously, Mike Evans on Tampa. They're
right.
rivals. They always fought each other. They always fought each other. So that's another thing that could happen this weekend. I'm going to take the Commanders, man. I'm taking the Commanders. I'm
I
taking.
like that.
I
You
hope
know,
that I hope Jane Daniels just keeps the football clean. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch as a neutral, as a fan of one of these two teams. Might be like nervous as hell. I got Commanders by like a field goal. I'll go a 23-20.
yeah. So you lived in the area, so you see the excitement that
Yeah, it's
that
really weird. It's weird.
that
It's weird.
Commanders are actually generating
Yeah.
here in the DC area. I like it. I'm kind of getting washed away in it too. Yeah, you know what? This is I told you that I had two picks. This is my second upset of the week. Commanders over Bucks. Um, you hit every point is correct on what you said. But yeah, I think it boils down to Daniels. I think it all boils down to him.
Yeah.
Looking back at a couple of these past weeks, though, Commander's been coming out on top, but not by a lot, right? So they're going to need to really clean up some stuff, and I'm hoping that they do, and I'm hoping that they beat the Bucks and continue their fairy tale run, because that's what it is. No one expected anything from them this year, and here
Yeah.
they are. So that's my second
Well,
upset of the week.
so I have a question for you. Do you think that teams could have a problem with traveling from a whole bunch of snow to the hot weather? Because I just realized that's going to happen here. Like it snowed 8 inches
No,
around here.
no,
Like
I'll
it's
tell you
cold.
what. If I was going to Tampa, I'd be loving life. Think
That's
about
fair.
this. If your body is geared for the cold and you go to the heat, you do run into some issues
Yeah.
as opposed to vice versa. Because when you come from heat to cold, you can warm up, right? You can have all those heats and whatever. I
Yeah,
think it's
tell it
more
to the
difficult.
Dolphins, bro. What are you talking about?
I know, I know. I don't know. That's a good question. We would have
Yeah,
to look at it scientifically, but uh,
fair enough.
yeah, I would love to be down in Tampa right now as opposed to being here with 8 inches of snow and
Hey, it's the best.
15 to 20-degree weather. All right, let's jump into the last game. Vikings and the Rams. We talked a little bit about the Vikings being the first team ever to have 14 plus wins and not have a bye or be second seed. What do you see in this game?
This game is Sean McVay against Brian Flores. The Rams offense has not been playing amazingly the last couple of weeks. They're winning games, but Matt Stafford has not been passing much. They've been more relying on the run game with Kyron. But like I told you a few weeks ago, this offense at full power can score against anybody. And this
Yeah.
is all it's going to be. The Viking defense stunts. They fake blitz. They fake zone. They do all this crap. If it works, I have the Vikings. But if the Rams can neutralize it, I have the Rams. Sam Darnold again. It's his first game in the playoffs.
Yep.
Whole different atmosphere. The Rams. They have experience. They have a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a Super Bowl winning head coach. It's unpredictable because it could really go both ways. It could be a really close game that's 10-10 or even 40-40. I don't know who to have in this game. Like I was really hoping that the Rams would beat the Seahawks, so it'd be Tampa and the Vikings, and I'll just pick the Vikings. And if it was Commanders and Rams, I'll pick the Rams. But now there's Rams and Vikings. I did not want that. It's gonna be such a balanced game. I'll go with the Rams. I think experience counts. I guess if the Vikings lose this game, by the way, it's gonna be so sad. I mean, a 14
It's going to be
win
really sad. Yeah.
great
I'm
season.
going to go with the Vikings. I think all NFC road teams are going to win this weekend.
5, 6, and 7.
Yep. I'm talking about Packers, the Commanders, and the Vikings are all going to win this weekend. I don't think that Vikings beating the Rams would be considered an upset, so that's why I didn't have that. But yeah, I think Vikings go into LA and beat the Rams. I'm seeing more of a, I don't know, 20-17 game kind of thing.
It might not even be in LA because of the fires or stuff.
Oh, that's true. They're looking at a neutral site too. They're thinking of going to Las Vegas.
Oh, Vegas, or was it Arizona?
Well, Arizona. Yes,
Okay.
you're absolutely right. It's Arizona.
Yeah. So we'll know by then we can't say it here, but if it's a neutral site, he'll be that much better, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a balanced game. I don't think anyone's going to roll over the other team, but I do have the Vikings. So what we're looking at Ravens, Chargers, and Bills in the AFC.
Yes.
You're looking at the Eagles,
Yep.
the Commanders,
and
the Rams.
Yeah.
So we are kind of pretty much backwards on that one. I got the Packers, Commanders we both agreed on, and then I got the Vikings coming out. Bold prediction. Without any of these games starting, who comes out of the AFC? Who comes out of the NFC?
I think we're going to have a boring Super Bowl. Chiefs and Philly. Philly it's just the most complete team in the NFC. If Ben Johnson can find a way to score 30 on them, if they reach the championship together, then the Lions deserve everything. And Chiefs, pretty simple. I've only seen one quarterback beat Mahomes, or two actually, but one pretty much, and his name is freaking Tom Brady. Okay. And until I see him lose to someone else, I'm going to always pick him, unfortunately. It doesn't matter how bad the Chiefs could be. Yeah. They just always find a way in the damn playoffs. When and they have home field. Again, I'm really intrigued to see how they play in 2 weeks because rust could be a thing, and they've been gone since Christmas. So that's a 3.5 week gap. So interesting.
My prediction would be Lions and Ravens.
If that happens, a city is going down. Like whoever wins, that city is going down.
Yeah, so that would be my prediction in the Super Bowl. Just again, without seeing any of these games being played at all. I mean, next week we'll have a better idea because now we're down to 8 teams. So it'll give us a better understanding, a better idea as to who might make it all the way through. I don't like the Chiefs. I mean, I know everybody is flying high on them.
15, bro.
And it could be that, I'm a hater, hate it. I don't care. I don't want to see them at all get anywhere near the Super Bowl. They've been getting a lot of calls on their, going their way throughout the season. A lot of the bounces going their way. Sports has a way of making, even things up. So I'm hoping that it evens up and they get kicked out of the playoffs. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hey, if it all goes right, it's gonna be the Chargers and the Chiefs. I mean, that's a great game. Honestly, that's a great. If it all goes well, the Ravens and Bills win, and the Chargers win. It'll be Chargers and Chiefs. That could be a really,
Yeah, could be.
really
Yeah,
close
could be a
game.
good game.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for the NFL. Again, it's going to be a great first round of playoff games. But let's move on. We're going to go ahead and talk about college football. This past weekend was an incredible week. Four teams go down. Now there's four left. And to help us talk about this, we're going to bring in our favorite cousin, or Will's favorite cousin, my favorite nephew. Well,
He's up
maybe
there.
not favorite, but
He's
one
up
of
there.
my favorite nephews, Gabe. And
Yes,
Gabe
sir.
is, look at that,
sir.
with the Longhorns there. What the heck?
I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game in a bit. And
Sure.
and joining us from Tennessee is Davis, and I see that he's wearing his Philadelphia Eagles hat there. It's a good thing you didn't hear what we had to say about the Eagles earlier.
We?
But we'll talk anyway. That's the NFL. Now we're going to talk about college football. Again, this past weekend, before we jump into individual games, what did you guys think of this first round of playoff?
Super entertaining for the most part. I mean, there's a couple games that were blowouts. I really enjoyed watching Ohio beat the snot out of Oregon. Even though I grew up hating Ohio State as a Terps fan, that was pretty nice to see. And then nail biters, OT. It was a lot of fun.
William, while he's working on that, what did you think about this past week?
College football was back. I mean, after the first round of BS games that me, Gabe, and Davis talked about, this was refreshing. It was refreshing. There was more than one good game, so it really tops the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the first round was pretty sad because you had some really good teams playing some secondary
Really
teams.
bad.
Yeah.
And this past week was a lot better. Although, again, to Gabe's point, there was one or two blowouts, which I think were expected, right?
It
And then
doesn't
there's
matter.
some nail biters.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the one blowout
And-
was kind of expected. The other one, not so much. But
Not so
it was,
much.
It was pretty fun to watch.
But it
when
was
happened.
satisfying.
It was very,
Very,
satisfying.
very
That's-
satisfying.
that's
Very
Yes.
incredibly
All right.
satisfying.
Davis, are you back on? All right, Davis, are you back on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, perfect. All right. So what did you think of this past weekend?
I thought it was
Overall.
okay. Overall, I thought it was okay. Yeah, the Texas Arizona State game, that was great. The fact that it was back and forth, especially towards the end, and went to overtime and back and forth with that. The Ohio State game, it was entertaining that they blew out the number one seeded team. So that was fun. Penn State game, it was okay. I expected more from Boise State, as we previously talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then also with the Notre Dame Georgia game, it was okay. It wasn't really entertaining per se. It was more shocking. So really, I just feel like Texas Arizona State, they saved last week, and the fact that game was so exciting.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty of it. Let's start off with Penn State and Boise. William, get us started, man.
All right. This game went exactly how Gabe, Davis, and I said it would. All we said in the last episode was the first quarter is going to determine how this game is going to go.
Yep.
And what happened? It was 14-0. So, of course, Jonty didn't get his record. Of course, they had to pass every time 3 picks happened. Penn State just played their game. I mean, they started off fast, and they just coasted the rest of the game running the ball. Drew Aller had, I think, 150 passing yards, but 3 touchdowns. But they ran for 250. So he just coasted after the first quarter. And now they got to face. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So
Gabe,
that's all.
anything?
That's all me. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Gabe?
I mean, that's exactly how I thought
Yeah.
it was going to go. Like we said before,
Exactly.
it was
Just
just
that
going to
first
be Penn State kind of outclassing Boise. Like Boise would have had to really pull off something special to make this a different result, even a closer game. So I mean, yeah, not much more to add from me. It was just kind of expected, and we all knew Penn State was a better team going in.
Davis, anything you want to add to that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised. I felt that Boise would keep it close, and it'd probably be one of those the this coming down to the last decision or last series of the game type thing. So the fact that like what Will was saying, the fact that they got punched in the mouth, it was like before you sat in your seat, it was 14-0. It was like, okay, well, here we go. Like, and they kind of made it close.
Yeah.
All those turnovers, those loose fumbles. Like Jenny, he hasn't been fumbling. Well, he's fumbled twice in his career, and he lost 2, and that 2 before halftime, I believe it was. So
yeah,
that was surprising. And I mean, yeah, they scored in the third quarter to make it close. But like they still needed, like it's one of those like you need to stop, you need to score, then you need another stop type situations, and they just weren't doing that. In Penn State, they just did enough. They weren't really messing up. But yeah, they had they had 1 turnover or turnover and downs, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Boise wasn't like the fact like they couldn't establish the run, and the fact like even like when it was like even with 2nd and long, like they would just do a screen pass and just like, well, you get like at least like throw it, like in the flat or something, even like a sluggo type thing, which I was saying and hoping for to make it like, 3rd and manageable. But at that point, it's 3rd and forever. So it just seemed more predictable. It wasn't really until the second half or really the fourth quarter. And then at that point, you can't really exchange touchdowns for field goals in that situation.
Yeah, overall it was like you said, before you sat down with your popcorn or your beer or your hot dog, you were already down 14-0, and that kind of dictated the whole game right there. And even though, like you guys said, Boise State did come back and get it down to 17-14, putting all that energy just to catch up kind of just defeated the purpose, because they were done, they were gassed. And Penn State were able just to go ahead and score the last 2 touchdowns for the final score of 31-14. So there goes Boise. Now, did Boise really deserve to be here?
Yeah, they won their conference. All I'm saying, they won their conference.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with
West, but
they did, and they didn't have any bad losses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and for what it's worth, like they took Oregon to the brink. I know it was September, but still.
Yeah, I agree that they should have been there.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the second game, Texas and Arizona State. Now, I'm going to be open with you guys. I wanted Arizona State to win. I was kind of sorry, Gabe. I really felt that Arizona State was going to pull this out. I wasn't with you guys last week to give you my prediction, but I really thought Arizona State was going to pull it out. And they almost did, right? They got into double overtime. And I think that if it wasn't for this guy, I forgot the running back's name.
Scattaboo.
He was throwing up. He was gassed. He was, I mean, he was on the sideline, like I don't know. They showed him on the sideline. He's like he couldn't catch his breath. I think if he would have been in better shape, it might have been a different story. Who knows? But congratulations to Texas. They did pull it off. We kind of did talk a little bit about that rule about the block and going through the uprights, and it should have counted and whatever. We can talk about that another day. But Gabe, I'm going to start with you because obviously that's your team, right? That's where you live in Austin. So how was your experience? Because you said you went to a local pub and was watching it on TV with some other Texas fans.
Yeah. I mean, what's
exactly
quintessential college football was this game. I mean, it was just that's what college sports is supposed to be about. It's just this excitement. Honestly, it was such as nerve-wracking as it was for me as a Texas fan. Like taking a step back, it was a fun game. Those last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter when Arizona suddenly came out of nowhere and tied it up, and I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better game to get the blood flowing and stuff, and it was just great. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I liked how strong Texas came out to start the game. I mean, that was a great start. I mean, it took 2 plays for the first drive to get a touchdown, and then we had was the second touchdown a pick six, if I remember correctly.
No, the second touchdown was
a punt return. It's a punt return.
Kick return. Yep.
And I have in my notes here, Scatta who, because that first half he got shut down.
He did.
I wrote that before halftime. So after halftime is when he finally woke up. I was like, oh, yeah, there he is. Yeah, I mean, our defense played pretty well. We still had some weird penalties going on, which has been like the theme of the season. And towards the end of the second there, ASU's defense kind of figured out how to stop Texas. And they carried that over into the third. The first possession for Texas was 3-and-out. So it really felt like Arizona for that first quarter was just nervous almost.
Yeah.
And they kind of settled in the second quarter. It kind of like stopped the bleeding before halftime. And then we're able to then fight back in the second half. And like those last 10 minutes of the fourth were just, because I remember I was talking, to the people at the bar. We weren't really at that point. We kind of like weren't paying attention to the game too much.
Done.
We
done.
were just like, we're hanging out, and then we're looking up and we're like, oh, Arizona scored a touchdown. Okay,
plus the 2-pointers.
Yeah, and then again, and we're like, oh shit, this is getting close. And it ended the way it did. Went to overtime, and suddenly it went from like this is like an easy win to like, oh my god, we might actually blow this. And that was my fear, was like, I was hoping for this close game. I didn't like
not this close.
It's not even that. It's just the way that Texas like imploded.
Yeah.
At the very end there was just like, that was concerned. That was like a huge red flag for me. It was like, oh my god, like if it was close all game, back and forth, I mean, that would have been a lot more acceptable in my eyes. But seeing that collapse, I mean, that's props to ASU for starting off the game as rough as they did and then ending it on such a strong note. And then, then again, props to the Texas defense for like kind of snapping out of it when overtime started. And that kind of, that's what saved the game. We got the game-ending interception there.
Yep.
So, I mean, very good game. Just the way it ended is leaving me kind of concerned for the future for the next one. So,
okay. Yeah. Davis, what do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. I saw the viewing experience for me was, it was a lot different than Gabe's. I was doing some house stuff, and also the game, so I was let me just put it on, and then eventually I sat down, and I was like, Texas is already up. It's like, okay.
Yep.
And then I know it's like, it was Arizona plus 13.5. So I felt like, I was like, they should cover that. And then I think the over under was like probably 58 or something like that. So I was like, it'll be under that. So I felt like it was going to be like, obviously like between like 10 points or something. I thought like Texas was going to win. And then like, I felt like Arizona, I thought their play calling was questionable in the first half. A lot of them were just like, again, I guess kind of just like Boise State was like, why are you going for that on, or like, why would you draw that play up on like 2nd and long, and then like on 4th down, like, why are you going for that? But then I didn't watch a whole lot of Arizona State this year, so I figured I found out like their kicker was pretty bad like all year round, so he was kind of just all over the place.
Yeah.
So which makes sense now. But and then actually I took a nap in the middle of the second half, and then so it wasn't until like my wife like woke me up, and that's when I saw like the Scatterboot touchdown that he threw. It's like, okay, so now it's going back and forth. So just like Gabe said, like it was just like your cliche classic like college football game where just like there's a lead, the other team comes back, now there's back and forth, both fan bases are going crazy, you don't know who's going to win type thing, and then overtime, second overtime. And I would say like at least it didn't go to a third overtime, because at that point it's just 2-point conversions, which is kind of like a whole gimmick situation type thing, which we could get into.
Just to get the game to end as quick as possible.
But yeah, which is stupid in my opinion. But
yeah.
But overall, like that was a really entertaining game. That and thus far, like that saved the playoffs, because everything's really been a blowout unless you're a Penn State fan or an Ohio State fan, really, or I guess a Notre Dame fan as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
William.
Yep.
Oh boys, this was a fourth quarter of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Scatterbo, I'm sorry, I did not know about you, but now I do. Gabe and Davis, how do you forget to point out two of the obvious things that happened in this game? First, the safety, the whole play that changed the whole game.
Yep.
17-3 at that point, driving, and then the fumble happens, and Quinn Ewers saves a touchdown. So good on him to get the safety. He saves a touchdown. That really changed the whole game.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, the whole game changed, and the momentum just went to Arizona State. And the second one, probably the more obvious one, can one of you guys explain me how that last play in regulation is not a targeting? It was at the 50-yard line with 1:10. Arizona had one timeout. If they would have gotten that flag, they would have been at the 35, 110, one timeout. They were driving that whole quarter. So you cannot tell me they would not have gone at least a field goal. Probably. We don't know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
This whole time, I was going for Texas, but I was sat there for 5 minutes being like, how is that not a targeting? He led with the crown. He made head-to-head contact. He was defenseless. I don't think there's a more obvious targeting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was there.
I'm probably wrong, but I don't know.
So I was there with my neighbor who played for Notre Dame in the 80s. And he was telling me that what it looked like in the replay. Hey, yeah, I know. But it looked like in the replay, he hit more towards the top instead of the crown with his head. And then there was literally no other way with the way that the play developed. There was no other way for him to hit. It was just kind of like, it was like a bang, bang. There was no way for adjustment, no nothing. I think that his reasoning for that was probably why it wasn't called a target. Because I was sitting there watching it when it happened, and I thought I was like, great, that's gonna be a targeting call. We're gonna lose that guy.
That's it. Yeah, game over.
Exactly. I was like, shit, like that really messed everything up.
That actually just happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm surprised, but I think the way that my neighbor described it, I think.
But he's from Notre Dame. What the hell does he know?
Hey, man.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Fair. And then my last point. Very happy with how Quinn Ewers and Sark played in the first overtime. It was a 4th and 13. Arizona State showed pressure, a lot of pressure. Quinn Ewers did, which is calmest person in the whole room. Just like checked his coverage, called hike. The guy was just post route in the back of the end zone. Touchdown. The game was over pretty much after that in second overtime. So at least Quinn and Sark just played calmly, because 4th and 13 with their whole season on the line is crazy when it's in your head. But they were calm as could be. Just like did the play correctly. It was a touchdown.
Yeah.
So the only thing I'm going to add to this before we jump into the next game, next game is going to be easy anyway, but is that if Texas plays the way they played in that second, after they scored 17, after they scored the 17 points, they were dead in the water. Dead in the water. If they play like this, and this is something I was texting you with Gabe in the group chat, if they play like this against Ohio State,
it's not going to go well.
The season is over. I really think that Texas needs to really pick it up because now they are playing the big boys, right? ASU got there because they got on a run, but they weren't supposed to be there. No one expected them to be there. They got on a run. They made it all the way there, right? So that's all I had to say about that. Let's talk about Oregon and Ohio State. This should be really easy. Blowout. Goodbye, Oregon. We kind of expected this the whole year. William in particular, who was always saying, "How the hell is Oregon number one?" There you go, William. Go ahead and get us started. Davis, you're going to get started on the Notre Dame, Georgia, and I have a lot of crap to say about that one.
I have a lot of crap to say about
Go ahead. Talk about Oregon.
It has been a while that I have watched a game with such satisfaction for a neutral team. For a neutral team, not the Ravens or
or
the Yankees, but just a neutral game. Jeremiah Smith is going to be a dog in the league. He
My
is
Lord.
True freshman. This man is a dog. I mean, he runs like Julio Jones, pretty much. When I saw him, that's pretty much what I saw, like Julio. Someone pissed off Ohio State and Ryan Day, and whoever it was, thank you. Okay, this defense shut down Gabriel for pretty much the whole first half, and by shut down, you're talking 38-0 before halftime, 38-8. They scored on that last play, but pretty much to 0. 500 yards to 276, and Oregon had the ball more. That just tells you how this game went. Ohio just played perfectly offensively. It was lucky that it was that close. I mean, it didn't seem like it was
20 points.
Close. It didn't seem like it was a 20-point game. If you saw the first half, all you saw was bombs and punts. That's all you saw.
Yeah.
But Ohio State, I'm proud of you. Thank you. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, Davis, go ahead, man. What do you think?
I mean, not much more. And like I said, like I had Ohio State winning in that game. Like I had them against Tennessee as well. No big deal. And just to go like, I mean, it's really just Jeremiah Smith, and even just what he like what he said. He was talking trash earlier in the week when he said like if it's man on man, just like we're going deep, and he called it. And like I was made aware of him like over the summer, and just the fact that like and he was like they made the announcement like he's starting as a freshman, which is a big deal at Ohio State with all the elite wide receivers they've had in the past, and like he seems to be even like more of a Julio Jones. Like he's just as big, but he seems more physical and even faster. So and it's not even that, like they have Tate and they have Ibuka as well, and their running game, like that was really what they're banking on. So like they've been complete all year, and like Will Howard is. I've heard like he's basically a Kirk Cousins. Like his high highs are really high, his low lows are low since he scored 10 points, 9 points, whatever it was against Michigan. So just the fact that like their offense was just clicking, just like Will said, it was just bombs and punts. Like they scored it was like 21 zip, and Ohio State had 12 plays or something like that, something crazy like that, and then
some crazy stat like that. Yeah.
So
it was 34-0.
Yeah,
34-8 at halftime.
Yeah. But the first quarter, I think they had like 10 plays, but 30 points.
And then also the fact like it was at the Rose Bowl, and like I know like this whole conference realignment it's a whole issue that we don't have to really get into. But just the fact that like it's still a big deal to like OG, if you will, OG Big Ten school, and the fact that like they saw that pride and tradition of winning, like playing at the Rose Bowl, and of course winning the Rose Bowl, because how it used to be, like a Big Ten team versus a Pac-12 team. So still like with all that motivation and how like everyone has just been talking crap about Ryan Day and Ohio State for going on a month now, and they're just clicking and rolling.
They are clicking. Gabe, what do you think?
Let's put it this way. I stopped watching after the first half. I was just like, yep, this is fantastic. I have to go take care of my dog. So
see ya.
Because I hung out at the bar after the Texas game to watch the first half, and I was like, yeah, there's no point in me staying here for another couple hours.
Another half.
Like, I was already happy from Texas winning, and then that first half made me so incredibly happy on top of that. I was like, you know what? It's a good day. I'm gonna go home now and I'm gonna chill. Yeah, that kid Smith is a fucking problem, and he is going to be so good in his career. I really, really hope we get a nice long career out of him. He'll be such a good watch. I mean, I'm looking at the yards right now into the halftime. Oregon only had 139 total yards.
Yeah, wait for it.
To Ohio's 390, dude. 390 in 30 minutes? Are you fucking kidding me?
And Oregon had the ball more. They had the ball more.
Possession. Yeah.
They had
Smith had 161 yards receiving with 2 TDs in the first half.
That was in the first half, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a career line in the NFL for a whole game.
Because all they did was play man-to-man or cover 3. It was him one-on-one with the corner or the freaking safety.
And
3.
And then, Will, I know you said like they had the ball more, but it really didn't feel like that because it seemed like every 5 seconds it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Exactly.
Or like, it's either like 3rd and long and it's an incomplete or it's another punt. So like, they had more possessions, but it seemed like, did they really didn't Ohio State just have the ball again? Like every time
they scored so fast.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying it's like every time it was like a 3 and out, 3 and out. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That was just such a fun game to watch. I mean,
beautiful game. Beautiful.
I'm glad because I didn't think Oregon was deserving of being undefeated personally. I mean,
their schedule.
They had exactly. And then they had 3 teams that pushed them to the edge previously, Ohio State being one of them. So it was just like
this is the rematch.
Yeah, and I was like, this is kind of how the first game should have gone.
Should have gone, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, that first half was fantastic.
All right, awesome.
I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's jump into the last game that the last game. So This is no, I'm not going to say much. First of all, those that know me know that I'm a Miami Hurricane fan for many, many, many years, even more than when I became a Bama fan. And
Boo.
if you guys look back in the 80s, the big rivalry was Miami and Notre Dame. So
Notre Dame.
I despise Notre Dame. Notre Dame, and I'm sorry to say this, Gabe, but Notre Dame has been shoved down our throats just like the Cowboys do in the NFL,
I mean,
right?
not false.
And so I think, yeah. Anyway, I despise them. So I was rooting for Georgia. Georgia was, and you guys know, Georgia was my pick to win the championship this year. Obviously, the quarterback goes down. This is the backup quarterback, and he looked horrendous. Georgia's off defense kept the game close, but nothing was being generated by the Georgia offense, and it was just disgusting. I was so irritated. I'm glad that no one was sitting here watching the game with me, and William knows this because once in a while he comes over and watches games with me, and I get pretty loud sometimes. So I had to stop watching the game and I had to walk away because it was just that bad for me. But Davis, I want to start with you. What did you think of that game? Did you have a chance to watch it?
I did. And I was really shocked because I thought, I felt like you said, like Notre Dame, like they're the Cowboys. So I just was just waiting for like the shoe to drop and for them to just choke yet again on the stage. And I felt like
Big time,
Georgia was the better team.
Yep.
And I want to say it was after the Ohio State beatdown. I texted a friend and let her know there's like, you do realize that she's a big Georgia fan. Like you do realize that like every team that had a bye, they lost. So of course, like she was nervous about that game, but not really because it's Notre Dame. So the fact like it was close in the first half, so it really wasn't until like towards the end of the first half, like when Notre Dame like got that momentum, and then of course like the start of the second half, like with that huge kick return. So that's really what it was. And yeah, like Stockton, he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was bad. I felt like he was serviceable as a backup. I mean, I know he's still a 5-star. I know people have their views about different recruits and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just like, again, like play calling. That seems to be the theme of tonight. And just like with, I know some people say Mike with the Bilbo or Bobo, whatever. He's just the clown with the play calling. Yeah, like I can agree with that. And I felt like they should have just established the run more or even just, I don't know if you want to say RPO or something like that with like ETN. And just because, like, in the past, especially recently, like they're known for having like your Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, even a Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
They usually have like they just breed running backs. So the fact that the defense kept them in it, but it seemed like Notre Dame was just faster, and Notre Dame just seemed more like the SEC team. Like they were just more disciplined towards the end when they had that was the encroachment penalty that cost them.
There was a lot of penalties.
Yeah, between that and there's just faster, more composed. It was like completely shocking to me.
And I think also the 2 turnovers, right?
That
they really
definitely didn't help.
That didn't help because I'm looking right now at the stats, and I'm sorry, William and Gabe, I'll get to you in a second. Georgia actually had more offense, 296 to 244. And it was just the 2 turnovers that really did them in. And then also some really bad decisions by Stockton. But go ahead, William. I'm going to start with you, and then I'll go with Gabe. Gabe, I'll
bad decision by Stockton. We don't hear that much, do we? Like John Stockton.
John Stockton was a great guard,
right.
but we're talking about college football.
Different
Stockton.
Yeah,
I had
much more younger.
I had absolute anxiety just in this damn game. I just did not care as soon as halftime was over. Can we talk about the stupid bench player for Georgia, the guy in the middle of the ref's way on that punt or the deep ball? Sorry, pretty sure the deep ball. I have played football, right? If there's one thing that coaches hate more than anything is those stupid penalties on the sideline. So I hope that he got hills for like 2 hours, man, because that went from the 10-yard line to the 25 when it was 0-0. It's a huge difference, I'm sorry, between the 10-yard line and the 25, where you could score 7, and no, they scored a 3.
A field goal, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 1. And then 2, the turnovers, like you said, it was a 6-3 before the halftime break, and then a strip sack happens. They score a play later, and then out the third quarter, they do a stupid kickoff return for a touchdown. At that point, it was over. At that point,
that was the end of the game. Yeah,
like, it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah. The strip sack killed them. The punt return, kickoff return, killed them. Why is it Penn State and why Penn State Notre Dame? Why is it Penn State Notre Dame? Why is it Penn State Notre Dame?
Okay, all right. Before we get that, Gabe, go ahead. Talk about this last. I know you're not a Georgia fan at all. And you were happy that they lost. You were happy that Bama lost.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was rooting for Notre Dame for this one just because fuck Georgia. Being the only team to beat us twice is just kind of like I'd like to see them lose finally. And I wish it would have been us, but
championship part 3, exactly. That's what I wanted.
Georgia would have beat you guys, man. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah, anyway, I mean, Stockton showed, inexperience. He didn't play very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I thought Notre Dame actually looked pretty good. To be perfectly honest, they looked a lot better than I thought that they would against Georgia's defense. I thought their offense looked a lot better than I expected. I mean, that kickoff return in the second half to start it, to open it up was freaking crazy. Yeah. And how about that trick play at the end of the game when they lined up for like they're gonna be doing a punt and then they swapped everybody to run a last second play and completely screw Georgia's defense. Like that was nuts. I didn't really think that was perfectly legal, but
allowed. I mean, me either.
Yeah, well, it is allowed, but here's the thing about that play, and if Smart should have been smarter, right? So here's the thing: when Notre Dame got everybody out and brought everybody in, you have the right as a defense to do your changes too.
Yep.
They only had like maybe 10 seconds left. I would have taken my ass time to get my players out there and do a delay game. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But he rushed everybody in. Everybody rushed in. Nobody knew what the hell they were doing. Well, there you go. But he should have been.
I think that was just they just made the guy panic, so he didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So
I would have been like, just walk out there because the ref is standing in front of the ball.
Yeah.
They can't hike it.
Yep.
Until the defense is set up, because they, anyway. But regardless, so all right, let's talk about this week. Really good matchups: Penn State, Notre Dame, and then Texas and Ohio State. I think for me, Texas, Ohio State is probably the championship right here. I think Penn State and Notre Dame are playing for second place at this point. But let's go ahead and start with Penn State, Notre Dame. All I got to say is this: Penn State, you got to kick their ass. That's it. That's it. Go ahead. Davis, we'll start with you on this game.
It's tough, but I think Notre Dame wins it. Again, just because their speed, I feel like their defense is better, and Leonard is playing well enough.
Bro.
William, what do you think?
Oh, me? So, really? Want me to go next?
Yeah.
I don't care, okay? But Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame.
What the?
They're better coaching than freaking Penn State. I don't care if Penn State gets within 7. I'll be impressed. I think Notre Dame's going to kill them. Okay, they're better coaches, better style offensively, and that defense gets after you. Like, that defense really gets after you. Like I was very impressed with the defense against Georgia this past weekend. I have Notre Dame. I don't care about this game. I would prefer it to be Penn State probably, but I have Notre Dame by like 10, honestly.
All right, Gabe.
I mean, that's exactly how I'm feeling. I think Notre Dame's going to win this game. Penn State, in my eyes, has had the much easier route to this point. Notre Dame is playing pretty damn well. Leonard's like reinvented himself or rediscovered himself, I guess. I think Notre Dame wins this one. I don't know about a blowout per se, but I think Notre Dame will definitely win this one. So that's where it's at.
I can't have Penn State in the championship. I'm sorry. It just violates all the rules of the last 10 years of college football. Penn State being in the championship. I'm sorry. No, we can't have it. We can't have Notre Dame is fine because he's been in there and they suck. Yeah. But
and then with Penn State, like they've they've beat the teams like they're supposed to beat this year.
Yeah.
But like anytime like they got smacked by Ohio State,
and Oregon. Yep.
They lost to Oregon as well. So I just feel like they like you could say like they're supposed to beat Boise. Like you said, like we said before, they had an easy path. Like, are they supposed to beat Notre Dame? I wouldn't say they're supposed to. So I guess that's my tiebreaker in it.
So what's the line? The line is
2
Notre Dame. Notre Dame 58% over Penn State.
So
That's the line.
Vegas likes Notre Dame.
Vegas likes Notre Dame. I'm still gonna go with Penn State. And then when they win, I'm gonna text all three of you guys.
Yeah, do it. No, do it. Yeah, do it.
Please do.
And then,
Please do. Please do.
I'll be waiting for it.
Yeah, I want Penn State. I cannot fathom having
yeah.
Notre Dame in the final. Hell no.
Yeah,
hell no. Those damn gold things.
Yeah, I want
trash
State,
out of here. Get that trash out of here.
Well, it's gonna be Notre Dame. I want Penn State though.
Okay, let's talk about the real game coming up. Texas and Ohio State. Gabe, I'm going to start with you because obviously it's Texas. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Yeah. Texas has a chance to win this thing. Defense needs to tighten it up, play better than they did towards the end of the ASU game. If they play like they did during overtime, I think we'll be fine. We did have a couple goal line stands in that ASU game. Fantastic. They still take a lot of really weird penalties for no fucking reason. That kind of kills us sometimes. I think right now our offense is clicking, so I'm not too worried about it. I mean, we had that one fumble, but that was just a weird play. The only reservation I have, the only thing that's making me nervous right now is Ohio State is on a tear. The only thing I could potentially see happening is maybe Ohio State kind of loses steam in this game. And they kind of, because we've seen all season, they kind of flip-flop, you know, I mean, look at the game against Michigan. So it's just kind of like, for me, it's a when, not if for Ohio. And maybe the steam runs through the final and they win the whole thing. So I just, I'm very split on this. It can go either way in my eyes. Obviously, Texas fan, I'm going to say Texas will win. Texas will go to the final. And then we'll beat the shit out of Notre Dame when we're there, and I'll get to rub it in my neighbor's face and be like, "Told you guys weren't that good." Yada yada, you know, whatever traditional smack talk.
So, just as a little reminder, this game is going to be played in Arlington and in Cowboy.
Why is
Jerry World?
Well, that's because I think
it's a Cotton Bowl.
It's a Cotton Bowl, it's a Cotton Bowl.
Was it always going to be an AT&T Stadium, or did they just move it there? Because they're supposed to get because they're supposed to get 6 inches of snow in Dallas on Friday.
Oh, really?
That's right.
So that's why I was like, did they move it to the AT&T just for that? But
no,
I didn't. Because that's I could have sworn like we already played the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma. So it's gonna be a nice home field advantage for us as well. But I don't know if Ohio necessarily would care about the home field advantage. Because, I mean, where did they lose to Michigan? So it seems like home field isn't really a big deal to them. It's just whether they're on or off.
All right, cool. Davis, what do you have for this game?
Well, for this game, I would say that I have horns down because Ohio State will smack them.
I expected that, to be completely honest with you. I was ready for that one.
I feel like Jeremiah Smith he's going to go crazy again, and if it's not him, it's his other running mates. If it's not a running back, if it's not Henderson, it's Junkins. If it's not Junkins, it's going to be Tate. So I feel like, and even if they don't score as many points, like even if they just keep it to, because Texas does have a really good defense. So even if Ohio State only scores 28 points, like Ohio State still has a really good defense as well. I know everyone talks about like they spent 21 million on like their NIL with who they got, but a lot of what people don't realize is a lot of them are juniors and seniors that are playing on their defense who are in the system. It was really just a couple players that were new to their defense.
Yeah. All right, that's a good take, William. You break the tie there.
Nice. First thing, Jerry Jones. Bro, can we just talk about real quick what happened the past 2 days? How do you deny Mike McCarthy from seeing other teams, but your press conference this past weekend said, "Oh, if he wants to talk, he can go talk." But he denied the request against the Bears. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, no, he's a
I'm
joke.
sorry. That's just too funny. That's just too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I'm so I'm not a Cowboys fan. So happy.
Okay, let's go. Just move on, man.
I think it's gonna
We
be
can talk about that next week on the NFL podcast.
I think
Go
it's
ahead,
gonna
go ahead.
be Ohio State. I just think that Ohio State defense will give a lot more problems to Sark and to Quinn Ewers than the Texas defense to Will Howard and Ryan Day. That's the only thing. I think both teams are really good, really balanced. They got power. They got good coaches. Their running game is good, so that's also huge. The running game, especially for Texas, help out Quinn Ewers. Like make his job as simple as possible because Ohio State is on a tear. Like you said, they're playing hot and better. Honestly, Since that stupid Michigan game, they've destroyed Tennessee and obviously Oregon.
Yeah,
I got Ohio by like 6 or less. Honestly, something like a 30 to 27 to 24. But I'm expecting a great game. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Gonna go for a certain team. I like Ohio. I like Texas. In the final, I just hope whoever wins this game is going to destroy either Penn State or Notre Dame. I kind of hope it's more like Notre Dame, so they lose into the championship.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and go with the SEC. I'm an SEC person, so let's go with the Horns.
Our first year being in the SEC.
Let's go.
Doesn't
And we're
matter.
the only
They're
representation. We're the only
They're there.
representation.
Because
You know what? It's kind of.
You said you've been a Canes fan since the 80s, and they're in the ACC.
Oh, the Hurricanes. Yeah. Well, they weren't in the ACC. They were independent for a long time.
They've been in the ACC for a good.
Look, I don't even want to talk about Miami. I don't want to talk about Bama either. They're both upset the hell out of me this past weekend. Don't even want to talk about them. Let's go Horns because we won SEC. Do you guys realize that the SEC did not look good at all this year? They beat the shit out of each other, and they couldn't get. We couldn't get in any of the good play. And this is what I'm talking about, the playoffs. Does it really have to be you? Do you really have to win championship to get in there? And then, because Bama, although Bama lost 3 SEC games, they did have, their schedule was a lot tougher than some of these other teams like Boise that got in, so stuff like that is anyway. We can talk about that another day, but I'm going to go with Texas. It's going to be a close game. I agree. I'm going to go Texas 20-17.
Well, just to piggyback off that, I feel like ever since like the SEC, like they didn't have a good showing. I mean, I would tend to push back and just say like, well, first of all, it's the first year of this expanded playoff. It's an outlier, just like the first year of the 14 playoff. Like, Bama got smacked by Ohio State, and Ohio State beat Oregon that year. But like every other year, like SEC team is always contending for a championship. Yeah. And like, these other bowl games, like you can't really gauge on that. Like just because Georgia dominated Florida State last year by like 50, 60, whatever it was. 60. So like a lot of people like opt out or can't, like Cam Ward, he only played the first half of his bowl game. Right. So there's that to consider as well. Like it doesn't mean like SEC had a bad year per se. That's one thing I would say about that. And like even like with Bama, like what you're saying, like people make fun of especially Bama, but just like teams level, they play these mid majors like the week before, like rivalry game in November, like they played Mercer. People fail to realize like they went at Wisconsin this year. Like how many other teams like have those kind of schedules, and like they dominated Wisconsin at Camp Randall. So I know, and Wisconsin is respectable. They're not amazing. They're not awful. So it's one of those things. And like they probably play in the best conference, the Big Ten. So it's just things like that. And it's the first year. So like moving forward, like yes, there'll be SEC teams. If you want to count Texas, I know
tweak things up.
Texas just got there yesterday, but Georgia will be back. I don't know if I can say Bama will be back, but you'll have there's another surprise. Like eventually LSU will get their act together. Eventually
if you want to say Tennessee or someone like that, another outlier would be there as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, look. So we have our picks for next week. Bold prediction.
Well,
Without these
tomorrow,
games being played, who makes it to the final? Who wins it? William, we'll start with you. What's the final matchup? You had Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah, because we all said our predictions.
Okay,
No,
so who wins?
I had Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Oh, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Who wins that game?
Ohio freaking State.
All right, Davis, what is your prediction?
Ohio State by 14 against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. And then Gabe?
Texas and Notre Dame.
I mean, it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, I think whoever wins between Texas and Ohio is going to win the whole thing. I don't think there's a question about
should
it.
win the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Should.
It would take a major
Upset.
implosion to lose against either Penn or Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
honestly,
Well, these
for
two
these
teams,
two-
right?
For these, for these
Texas
two
and
teams.
Ohio State, right?
Um,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go with Texas then winning it all, but beating Penn State. I do not want to see Notre Dame there at all. Fuck them. Fuck those gold motherfuckers. Okay, anyway, that's it for us, guys. Hey, Davis, thank you for joining us. Gabe, as
Anytime.
always, you guys are more than welcome to join us. We really appreciate it. We still have at least 2 more podcasts to cover for college football. Next week, we'll cover
The
the
championship.
the finals.
Yep.
I'm sorry, and then the following week we'll do a little wrap up of all the college football league, 20, 24, 25. So, thank you again. I'm Will Senior,
And I'm Will Jr.
and we are out of here. Have a good night, guys.
This guy.
See ya.